So, new Sonic Frontiers thing just dropped, and now the entire community is going apeshit about it, and rightfully so, cause oh my gosh. Sonic Frontiers Divergence is the latest animated short from Powerhouse Studios and Tyson Hesse, with the story being written by Ian Flynn of IDW fame. The short being about Knuckles detailing what happened to him before the events of Sonic Frontiers, essentially acting as a prologue. So I bet you're wondering, what makes this short so special? Well, allow me to explain, totally real viewer, who I totally didn't just conjure in my head to give me a natural way to flow into the next paragraph. The short begins with Knuckles on Angel Island, guarding the Master Emerald. Good start. He starts monologuing about how he feels regarding his job as the Emerald's guardian, and how it's a job that by nature requires him to be alone. After recapping how his Echidna tribe came to an end, he explains that in the grand scheme of things, he really doesn't know that much about the islands or how they came to be. So from there, the short follows him as he goes around and explores the islands. After assisting some Chow, he stumbles upon a previously closed off area after he picked up a gear that was near the entrance. After examining inside, finding this teleporter thing, and putting the gear inside the open slot, he gets teleported to an unknown place only to be greeted by an army of mysterious robots. After one of the best and most hyped fights in Sonic that we've had in the past decade concludes, Knuckles comes face to face with the Titan alongside the main antagonist for Frontiers, to which he is then immediately teleported to yet another unknown location. Now being trapped in this strange bubble, Knuckles finds himself powerless in this foreign land, deserted and all alone once again. And that's where the short ends. What I just described to you was a quick summary of the entire short, and you may be thinking, okay, but how is this special? Well, I'm glad you asked, totally real viewer. Before getting into the cheesy and over-dramatized points I want to talk about why the short itself is just so damn good. The most important factor in all of this is our main character, Knuckles. More specifically, how he was characterized. For the past decade, Knuckles has been portrayed as stupid and not much else. As one would expect, that didn't really blow over well with fans, like, at all. This was always a consistent complaint with his characters, so the writers at the time decided to fix him in Sonic Forces by making him an overly serious war general. Knuckles. A war general. Needless to say, this didn't blow over well either. Fans of Knuckles, and really all the characters in the series, were tired of seeing their favorite characters turn into bastardized, or just straight up unrecognizable versions of themselves. So let me tell you that when I saw how Knuckles was written in this short, I was honestly blown away. From the big things like him actually having meaningful dialogue and expressing his thoughts and emotions, to the little things like how his tendency to not think things through is shown by how he handles helping the Chow of the island. Like in this scene where he helps a Chow get a piece of fruit on a tree by lightly punching it. Or the more upfront and in-your-face example of how he blows away a giant piece of debris with a small, delicate Chow right next to him. Just makes me really happy to see stuff like this. Not only is it great writing as it's all shown and not told, it's also amazing because it simply fits his character. Which is crazy that I even have to say it like it's rare, but yeah, it kind of is. This is why we're seeing the statement Knuckles is back everywhere when the short is talked about online. Knuckles finally feels like himself again and everybody is just excited to have him back. While we're on the topic of Knuckles' character, I think it's important to talk about one of the major points of contention in the fanbase at the moment. His voice actor. The voice actor for Knuckles in Divergence is David B. Mitchell. He did the voice for Knuckles in Team Sonic Racing, Tokyo 2020, and the mobile version of the same game. At least I think it's the same game, I didn't play it. I haven't played the newest Olympic titles, as I believe the only ones worth playing are the first two. But I did play Team Sonic Racing, so I do have a reference to work off of to compare the two performances. I'm going to be real, in Team Sonic Racing, I didn't like his portrayal of the character. His performance almost made Knuckles come off as a surfer dude, which was really off-putting given how he was voiced prior. So with that being said, what do I think about his performance here? Personally, I like it. I think it's good. Well, my take is a bit more nuanced than that actually. There are still some issues I have with it. But first, I'd like to start off with the good. I feel like Dave does a really good job at voicing Knuckles' monologues. It feels like his voice is more suited for a more somber Knuckles, if that makes sense. He also does an amazing job during the action scene, but I'll get to that one later. I also like the scene where he blows away the rock and a piece of it hits the Chow as he tries his best to comfort it after realizing what he just did.
Hey, there. Here. This is what you were looking for, right?
Overall, I think he does a good job, but there are a few moments where the voice felt a little off, mainly referring to after he gets teleported to the unknown location.
What was that? Where am I?
Dave's performance during this particular section was not the best, if I'm being honest. I don't think the scream is supposed to come off as comedic, but it does, which clashes with the more serious and grounded nature of the short. But that's only really one not great instance out of the many good ones. So overall, I did like his performance, and I think he's improved a great amount from his last showings. Honestly, I'm just glad they gave him a chance to improve and not just toss him out the window in favor of a new VA. Now moving on, another aspect that people are really excited about is the lore aspect. Fans have been missing the continuing and intertwined plot threads of the past that would be used as foundation for the next game's plot. Even when characters and plot points from those games are brought back, they either never really make sense, are very poorly done, or are chaos and Sonic forces. Divergence fixes this by making it very apparent that not only are they using past lore for this story, but they present the promise of expanding on it as well. From the genuine, actual, real return of Sky Sanctuary in the story, to showing how Tikal is still guiding Knuckles to this day. This short presents fans with what we've been wanting for years: continuity. Even the little things, like how much effort was put into making the place feel alive and active despite the nature of the locale. Chow are seen basically everywhere, a flicky or two can be spotted just doing their thing, the lighting, colors, and shadows making it feel like a real place that Knuckles is present in. All these big to small details just add so much to the overall atmosphere of the place, and I loved every second of it. Okay, so I want to take a quick detour in this video to talk about the fight scene after Knuckles gets transported. I want to start off by saying this outright. This scene is perfect. Just as soon as Knuckles gets out of his confused daze, he suddenly gets surrounded by these robots. The music starts building up, getting you ready to see some action. Probably my favorite thing about this scene is how Knuckles reacts to all of this. He was just sent to some random place where he has no idea where he is, but regardless, as soon as he sees that he's surrounded, he says this.
Oh, an ambush, huh? Your funeral.
This was the voice line I was referring to before, and I have to say that this is the best line from Dave in the entire short. Maybe even his entire time as voicing Knuckles. The low tone of the voice, as if he's not even worried about whether he'll lose or not, because he's just so confident that he'll win. The cockiness presented through his nonchalant speech, and all this before what is one of the best animated moments in the franchise's history. This made me feel like a kid again, man. It was so good. Everything about it was just so Knuckles. I think this was really the moment where people realized that our boy is finally back. Also, real quick honorable mention to my second favorite voice line in the entire short.
Whoever's behind this better show yourself now. We'll settle this in a fair fight. And after I win, you'll send me home. Got it?
Immaculate. The last thing I want to talk about is Angel Island's connection to whatever this place is. I'm attempting to experience this game as blindly as I can, give me some slack. As I stated in the summary, Knuckles happens upon this weird device that teleports him to an unknown locale. But what has grabbed the attention of fans is the implication that they are somehow connected and may relate to the origins of Angel Island as a whole. Now the specifics of this are all speculation on my part, but it's safe to say that at the very least, an underlying connection has been established that will be revealed when the game comes out next week. If I get this video out on time. It is genuinely incredible that we are finally getting real world building and lore from this series again. Honestly, at this point, the actual gameplay of Sonic Frontiers could be just okay at best, and I'd still be fine with it as long as the story delivers on all the fronts that we're seeing in Divergence. Speaking of which, the last thing I want to talk about is the most important aspect of all of this: the story of the game itself. I don't think it's a stretch to believe that the story presented in Divergence is indicative of what we'll see in the main game, and that prospect alone has everyone excited. Characters will finally feel like themselves again, hell, maybe even better versions of themselves. As for Knuckles at least, this feels like an evolution of his character more than anything else. The story will feel epic and grand again, unabashedly doing what it wants and doing it well. That last part remains to be seen, but I digress. And the lore of the series will not only be present, but also explored upon. It's no wonder the Sonic community has exploded over this, because it shows us a bright future for this series that we love. Most of the time. All we really have to do now is wait and see for what the game has in store for us. But no matter the overall quality of the game or its reception online, I know one thing for sure. I have hope in Sonic's future again, and I'm very excited to see what Frontiers has to offer. Also, I find it really funny that the 6-minute short characterized Knuckles better than the entire runtime of every Sonic game from the last decade.